What's up, guys? Welcome back to the review space, and today we are going to have a little discussion regarding WrestleMania 28, the upcoming Mania of this year, 2012. What may happen, I should say, what may happen. I am not a psychic, I don't claim to be, I just go by my gut feeling, I go by the history, I make educated guesses and predictions when it comes to the wrestling world. So here we go. First up, let's look at the match. Right now the only scheduled match is The Rock and John Cena. Alright, it's a singles match. And I remember last year that it was supposedly I think they alluded to it being for a title match or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, if there's a title on the line, but I don't know if they're going to do that. I think it's just going to be a singles match. It's just going to be The Rock versus John Cena, and that's it. Alright, let's talk about this. Let's talk about John Cena versus The Rock at WrestleMania 28. I mean, first of all, it's actually quite easy. Here is what I think will happen. It's going to be a good match. It's going to be back and forth. Obviously, both guys are going to give it their all. It's going to be incredibly competitive, and the fans will cheer, and it's going to be very exciting. There's going to be a lot of closed pinfalls and a lot of false finishes, and it's going to be very, very even. It's going to feel like an even match. But ladies and gentlemen, John Cena is beating The Rock at WrestleMania. Let me say that again. John Cena is beating The Rock and winning his match at WrestleMania 28. And I'll tell you why. John Cena is the younger star. He is the current active guy in the WWE. He is the man. He has been the poster boy of the WWE for 6 years. He's been number one. He's been given the biggest push. He's had championship after championship after championship reign. TV guest spots, you name it. Movies, television, talk show spots, appearances at award shows, appearances in the media. This guy has been pushed like nobody else in the past 6-7 years in the WWE, because John Cena he's Vince McMahon's guy. He's the number one guy. And for anybody to think that The Rock has even a chance of beating Mr. Current WWE, Mr. Current active superstar John Cena is basically wrong. Because there's just no way that The Rocky, who's been, I don't know, out of action for the past 7-8 years, hasn't had a Mania match since what, 2004? And you expect him to just come back and then all of a sudden beat a wrestler, a younger, active, current star, who's basically been the top guy in the WWE for the past 6 years? There's just no way. There's no way that Rocky is winning. Okay? I mean, that's like people thinking that Hulk Hogan can beat The Rock. Remember that match? Hogan versus The Rock at WrestleMania way back when? I think it was at WrestleMania 18. They had their little match, and it was a huge, highly anticipated, it had a lot of hype. Okay? And obviously the fans were divided. The fans started booing The Rock, actually, in favor of Hulk Hogan in that particular match. This is because Hulk Hogan he's been around longer, and he's a legend, and he's been around. Without Hogan, there really wouldn't be a Rock or any of these other stars. Hogan is really that dude. And there was a lot of older fans in that audience too, in that Toronto audience, where they know Hulk Hogan. They grew up on Hogan, and so they gravitated more towards the 80s icon Hogan than The Rock. And maybe, it had something to do with the whole, Rock went Hollywood and his reputation of kind of falling off, and, he's not as, people like to look at The Rock's history and career with rose-colored glasses or whatever, that kind of cliche that, oh, he was so good, he was amazing, he was incredible, and it was flawless. But really, there were times when The Rock actually sucked, for a lack of a better word. His character sucked, his character wasn't as entertaining, he wasn't as funny, sometimes it felt kind of forced and awkward, and it just wasn't... Here's the thing. I'll tell you the peak of The Rock's character. 1999. Back in 99, that was his peak. So, post Stone Cold, post 1998 era, and then when he actually became he became a funny, comedic promo guy with his bright, colorful shirts and his shades, and he looked cool, and he actually had hair back then. That was the Rock that I loved, that I grew up on, and I enjoyed watching. That was the Rock I marked out for. Every single week, he would cut a promo at the beginning of the episode. He would cut a promo on something, somebody, another wrestler. It didn't matter. It was always entertaining. And that was the Rock. That was when he was awesome, at the peak of the Attitude Era. And then, he started falling off. He lost his hair. You're talking about the early 2000s now, 2002, 2003. He started doing movies, crappy movies, mind you. He started doing crappy movie after crappy movie. I mean, The Mummy Returns? Really? That shitty fucking garbage of a movie? That little crappy ass debut where he was in it for like 2 seconds, and the rest was a CG composite garbage Scorpion King animated character. Oh, and let's not forget Scorpion King. That movie sucked balls too. I mean, that movie fucking sucked, yo. Nothing but fucking like new metal, hard rock type of music, and the fucking soundtrack made no sense because it was supposed to be set in like the ancient days, like in the fucking Egyptian days, ancient Egypt or whatever, and he was supposed to be like this savage guy from a tribe, and then just a horrible, cliched, full of cliche fucking movie. And the main villain looked like Russell Crowe, but he was just like a poor man's, an imitation wannabe Russell Crowe. I remember reading a review for that movie when it came out, and somebody said that the villain looks so... The villain in this movie tries to fool you by being a Russell Crowe lookalike and kind of like a gladiator thing, and then thus, trying to fool you into thinking that it's good, when it's not. When it actually sucks. I mean, I'm not even, let's not even get into his other movies. I mean, I don't know, like Walking Tall and freaking, what else? Doom, Witch Mountain and all, the Tooth Fairy, all that other fucking garbage. The Rock's movie career sucked. I mean, it sucked. I mean, if there's a quote-unquote actor that I can't stand, it's The Rock. Because he fucking sucks. His movies are garbage. I think out of all his movies, the one that I could probably tolerate the most, that I've actually seen, was Gridiron Gang. I thought that was okay. Gridiron Gang wasn't that bad. It was just kind of... It was it was meh. It wasn't amazing in any way, shape, or form, but it wasn't terrible, although it did get pretty bad reviews. But I mean, The Rock's movie career was terrible, but at least he made a lot more money. He's actually working in Hollywood compared to John Cena. I mean, John Cena's so-called movie career is barely a career. I mean, I'm sure he's making money off these movies, but first of all, his movies are released under WWE Films. It's basically by Vince McMahon. It's, he owns it. So he's still putting out material that is still, it's still owned, and the money, the profit is still being raked in ultimately by Vince McMahon. Like, basically, he's still an actor. He's still employed by Vinnie Mac, and it's not like he's a free guy. You know, he's not like this. He's not a Hollywood actor. Basically, he's not an actual actor who gets hired by different movie companies and stuff to actually make films for them. The only reason that he makes these WWE films, John Cena, is because it's under Vince McMahon, because he's the WWE's top guy. And the WWE, of course, they'll put their wrestlers in these movies because it only makes perfect sense. That's because their names will draw. John Cena is a big name. It's a recognizable name, John Cena. You know, he's a top push star. Triple H, the same thing. You know, Triple H, he's one of these guys who, you know, is kind of like a wannabe actor. So my point is that, basically, John Cena's movie career is not even, it's not even in an actual, like, official kind of thing. Like, it's not even real. Like, he makes movies, but it's like his rap career. You know, calling John Cena an actor is like calling him a rapper. Because when he made his rap album way back in 2005 called You Can't See Me, which I thought it was an okay rap album. You know, it was actually kind of, it was pretty hip-hop. You know, it stayed loyal to the, you know, the hardcore underground hip-hop sound, and I enjoyed the production. I thought the beats was good. Production was good. You know, the guest spots were good. I think it was his cousin Trademark and Bumpy Knuckles, this other guy. They kind of carried the entire album. They carried the entire CD. John Cena's, I felt that John Cena's verses were actually kind of forced. Like his rhymes and his lyrics were just, it felt so forced. It didn't feel like a natural flow. You know, it just, because John Cena's not a rapper. He's not an MC. You know, John Cena is not a rapper. He had a gimmick of a battle freestyle rapper because he got that from 8 Mile, because 8 Mile at the time was really popular, with Eminem doing the freestyle MC battling thing, and so everybody wanted to copy that, you know. So of course, like, John Cena, he tries to do his little, you know, his I guess his rapping gimmick, which I mean, I never liked, you know, John Cena's rapping gimmick anyway. Like, I'm one of those guys that kind of just saw it as just a cheesy gimmick, trying to, because I know a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people say, well, you know, John Cena is a rapper. I really like that. You know, I miss him. You know, I wish he went back to that. He was really good as a rapper. You know, I really like that. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. That John Cena sucked too. I didn't like him. I wasn't marking out for that guy because I knew it was an 8 Mile ripoff. I knew he wasn't a real MC. And as a guy who's a real hip hop head, I've been listening to underground rap and real hip hop for so many years. I knew who was legit and who wasn't. And John Cena was just a guy. He was a poser. You know what I'm saying? He was a guy who, he was a hip hop fan, but he wasn't a rapper. You know, it's not like he's making money off rap. It's not like he released singles on the radio. It's not like he went on tour, you know, every single year or every 2 years or so and performing every time. He's not a real rapper. He doesn't have an actual rap career. He's a wrestler who had the gimmick of a rapper who put out an album to capitalize on the fact that he's a champion, because it's a marketing machine. You know, here's, oh, John Cena. He does his gimmick rapping thing, so let's make an album. Anybody can make an album, but not everybody can be a rapper. This is a real rapper. Eminem is a real MC. Nas is a real MC. Tupac Shakur, a real rapper. Rakim is a real rapper. Okay? Immortal Technique. Tech 9. I mean, these are real MCs. These are real rappers who actually have careers in the hip-hop industry, who the general hip-hop audience know who they are. They respect them. They know their work. They have albums every 2 or 3 years. and they are active, real MCs, not John Cena, who made an album like, what, 6 years ago, or 7 years ago, I should say, 7 years ago, because it was 2005, and that was pretty much it, just because he had a rapping gimmick. So, there's such a huge difference between the two. Like, it's like day and night between Rock and Cena, though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's such a huge difference in the quality and the amount of entertainment value between the two. The Rock is like a real legit wrestler because his bloodline, his family, he grew up in the business, he understands it, he can carry a good match. He's great inside the ring, but he's also got great mic skills, an awesome promo guy, he's very charismatic, natural wrestler, natural character. And then you compare him to somebody like John Cena, who is this manufactured guy, this manufactured wrestler from the OVW days, where it's basically just a factory of young, good-looking models, these guys with buff bodies, and these bodybuilders who aren't necessarily real wrestlers with any kind of technical ability or with any kind of upbringing in the business, any kind of actual experience that you know, it's not like he wrestled out in Japan and mastered his craft. It's not like he wrestled in Europe and in different territories and on the indie scene where he was so highly sought after by the big leagues. You know, it's not like he's a CM Punk. It's not like he's a Daniel Bryan. John Cena is 100% manufactured by the WWE. His character, his mannerisms, his look, his gimmick, his entire package is he's basically just a robot. You know what I mean? He's a robot who does everything the WWE tells him to do. He's a soldier. He's a guy who is reliable. He's Vince McMahon's guy. He's like a puppet. He's Vince McMahon's puppet. And the difference between him and The Rock is that The Rock was able to get over, be able to become well-liked by the fans because, yes, there was a WWF marketing team behind him. Yes, Vince McMahon and people who were booking The Rock's matches and people that were writing and maybe, you know, giving him bullet points and scripts, and you know, the Rock had his level of manufactured packaging too. I mean, The Rock was, you know, he had the same kind of level of grooming. You know, they groomed him. They put time and effort into his character, obviously, and you know, giving him proper storylines and gimmicks and stuff like that. But The Rock was just so naturally talented compared to Cena. You know, in the ring, on the mic, he just had the natural talent, and that's the main difference. So it's like day and night. It's very, 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 very uneven in terms of The Rock being a very, very respected guy, and then Cena, who is to this day still hated by half the crowd, by the predominantly male audience. He's only really cheered by the young kids and his fan base, you know, women, the ladies. It's so different. You know, PG era versus the Attitude era is just, it's not even close. The Attitude era wasn't perfect, you know, the Attitude era wasn't perfect. The Rock's not a perfect character, but man, it was dope. It was just way more charismatic. It was just way more, because The Rock was targeted towards adults too. You know what I'm saying? Like, adults and men actually cheered The Rock and liked his entire gimmick, his character, his presence. Cena turns people off. When Cena comes in, his music hits, everybody sees that he's just a prepackaged, this guy who has the same moves over and over again. This guy who has a very limited in-ring set of moves. This guy who has very forced promos and who doesn't really elevate his opponents either. Like, he just can't make people look good. He has to kind of rely on other on his opponents to make him look good. Guys like Shawn Michaels, you know, Triple H, you know, people that he's wrestling against make him look good instead of John Cena being the ring general. You know, Randy Orton, you know, makes him look good. So, man. But all that aside, I mean, everything that I just mentioned aside, again, The Rock is going to lose to John Cena simply because Cena is the younger guy. He's the younger star. He's the current star. He is the current active top guy of the WWE. It doesn't make any sense. Why would he lose to The Rock? What, to make The Rock look good? As if The Rock needs it. As if The Rock needs a win over John Cena. As if The Rock doesn't need the win. Because he's already established. Everybody knows him. He's made his money. He's famous. He's popular. He's over. He was the top guy for years. So there's no reason for him to beat John Cena. Because that means that here you have Rocky, who hasn't wrestled in so many years, and then beating basically the embodiment, the symbol of everything that is WWE, that has been WWE for the past 6 years. So they're not going to shoot themselves in the foot. Vince McMahon is not going to allow The Rock to make his current company look bad, and his current roster, and his current his current top guy, John Cena, look bad. That's not going to happen. So that's why John Cena will beat The Rock at WrestleMania 28. Now there is a very small chance that The Rock could win. The Rock could win as a surprise. It's a surprise. There's always a chance, no matter how small. It could be 0.001% that The Rock could win. But I don't think so. John Cena is going to win, and it's going to be a moment where it's going to be a passing of the torch. It's going to be The Rock finally, you know, kind of putting over the current WWE, the current product, finally doing his thing, doing his part to put over the current WWE product, the same company that made him a star all those years ago, back in the Attitude Era. Okay, so that's it for this particular video. I think I should have mentioned maybe there's Sheamus is gonna, you know, obviously Sheamus has a scheduled match at Mania as well. He's gonna challenge the whoever, you know, the champion, world champion or WWE champion. But I don't even know his opponent right now, so we're gonna discuss that maybe a little bit later. Alright, until next time, comment, let me know what y'all thought. What do you think is gonna happen at Mania 28 between Rock and Cena? I can imagine everybody pretty much agrees with, you know, generally agrees that Cena's gonna win for sure. Comment, subscribe, and until next time, ciao.